Alright, so I just bring over your form right now. Looks like we have an overstimulated dog here, chewing on stuff, nibbling on people. Is that correct?
Yes, like right now she's just showing you that she's really excited and she wants to play.
Sure.
She doesn't have anything by that, but.
Yeah, no, she's just overexcited.
Yeah. She's like, I want to play. Pippin, come here.
What?
She just had to go and he's showing her bad behavior right away. She's like, poo-poo.
Hey, Enrique.
Come here.
You're being good right now.
No, she's like too hyper focused.
Yeah, she's just ready to sit. Now, is she like this, like when you ever see her like all the time, or is it she's pretty chilled and when she's in new places?
When I come home from work, she does that to me. If I don't say hi to her right away.
Okay.
When we're outside, she'll yell at dogs like that too. If she wants to play, she's like, ah.
Sure. So go ahead and fill me in.
She turned 1 February 5th, so she's just 1 now. She is very, very smart and she learns really fast, but she has obviously issues with like being excited. She also has a biting problem. She bites all the time. If she has to go to the bathroom, she knows the bells, but she'll bite me or him or our couch instead. So we have a lot of holes in our couch now. If she's like wants to play, she'll bite. Sometimes when she's playing with him, she'll get like aggressive after a while with her bites. So like not just like, normal like bitey, but like she'll like be mean bites is what we call them sometimes.
And I'm sorry, when does that happen?
Always.
Weekly.
Yeah, all the time, daily. This morning she was biting me while we were just waking up because she wanted to go outside and like, sure, that's fine, but she knows that she rings the bells to go outside. So it's a daily thing, and she's always been that way. We thought it was like teething at first, but she's been done teething for quite some time. Never stopped. She bites people when they walk in the door, so if I walk home from work, I get home and she'll just bite me on the arms, jump on me. Anybody really, people ask to pet her on the street and I'll just say like, sorry, she bites, but they're like, it's okay, like I still want to pet her. But I get nervous because she's very mouthy with her behavior, so I'm like, I don't want people to pet her really, and I feel like soon she's gonna bite the wrong person or like the wrong dog and have some bad repercussions from that.
Okay. Anything else?
Her excitement with dogs is a lot. She sees a dog on the street, like all focus is lost on going to the bathroom or us. She also just generally doesn't, like she's very independent, doesn't want to listen to us, so when we want something, like we need her to focus, she's like, no, I'm gonna go do what I want to do. So she doesn't, I think she thinks she's the alpha, essentially, of us 3. I don't know if that's something that we did when we were raising her, but yeah, I think she thinks that she's in charge, essentially.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Whose idea was the prom color?
Your mom, right? I think your mom gave us the
so.
idea.
Okay.
Just because on walks we had her on a harness. All of my family's dogs have always been harness dogs. She pulls like she's pulling a sled, basically, and so this kind of stopped that. Like for the most part, she can't pull us as hard. She still tries to pull. So.
And then is the chain leash because like she just chews at the leash and stuff?
Yeah. She jumps on walks and bites the leash. So she's ripped about 4 leashes. So we got this one so that she can't break it, essentially. So.
Gotcha. Anything else?
I work from home right now just because the whole thing, but eventually I'm gonna have to go back to work downtown. So we need to work on having her be alone for longer periods of time.
Calm down. It's okay.
Do you guys has she been left alone at all?
Yeah, I mean,
How is
I left her alone for 3 hours last weekend. You know, we'll go to the store sometimes and stuff together and leave her alone. I don't think she cries in her crate when we leave her alone at home because she can see us both walk out. And I will listen on, you know, my little phone dog camera thing and see if she's making any sound. And she's usually not. But sometimes she'll cry immediately after we leave and we can hear her outside and just for a few minutes.
No complaints from neighbors or anything like that?
No, not when we leave her alone, no.
Okay. Is she ever destructive in the kennel?
Yes, she gets her mouth stuck on the crate. She's done it twice now, and the most recent one was actually a few days ago. She was biting us too aggressively, and we were like, okay, you need to take a nap or take a time out or something. So we put her in her crate. If her bed is in there with her, she'll scratch at her bed, try to rip up her bed. But we usually take it out in those instances so that she can't do that. And she'll bite on the actual crate itself and get her mouth stuck and then scream because she's stuck and we have to like
Pry
her mouth off. And yeah. But like the fear with that is like that's happened when we're at home. Like what if we're not here, you know, and she's doing that, so.
Is it a wire crate?
I don't know, it's just like.
Like is it enclosed or is there bars we can see through?
You can see.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. I'm assuming before reaching out you did research on us, how we train the messages and all that stuff. I'm gonna pop her in my leash here.
Okay. Do you want us to take off the
Yeah, let me secure her real quick.
peppers?
Oh, that's there. Awesome, thank you.
This is said no. She already started biting now. No. Pepper, it's okay.
So, do you know where majority of your issues are coming from?
I think it's just her behavior and her like mentality. Like we spoiled her. We got her when she was like 8, 9 weeks old. So I think she just thinks that she's in charge and like that's her behavior. Like right now she's like, you can't control me.
Sure. And what else? What training did you try?
Just like tricks like sit, stay. We got the prong collar to help her walk better outside. She had a water obsession, so we did have like a trainer from WAG come to help us out with that once. Because she would drink water. Like if you gave her a whole bowl, she would drink the whole thing in one sitting. And so then we had to take her to the vet a few times because she got like water intoxication, like she had too much. So she's moved past that on her own. She doesn't do that anymore. But no, I mean like we really just, you know, tried to do it all ourselves and like just we thought we didn't like do too much actually, like if you think about it. We just like try to teach her sit and stay and potty.
So
Pepper.
Okay.
He's like, I'll just show him how I act.
This is fine.
Pat.
So the reason why the sit and the trick stuff doesn't work is because it's just tricks.
Yeah.
Tricks doesn't help with behavior because it's not telling her what not to do.
Yeah.
That's what you're missing. Bulk of her problems is just coming from you not giving her proper direction.
Yeah.
Right, so here, the reason why I took her off the prong and put her on this is to show you that it's not about the tool. Okay, I get people that put their dog in a prong collar, and the reason why I ask like why did you switch to that is people look at the tool to alleviate the problem.
Yeah. She hates it.
Okay.
Oh no, Pepper.
But that's why she has a problem.
I know, I know, like I've been telling people it's mostly that like we need to be trained as well. Because when she cries like that, then I'm like, oh my God, my baby, like, I just want to hug her, you know.
Yeah, you gotta stop that.
I know. I just don't want her to get hurt, you know. And
She has teeth. If anybody's gonna get hurt, it's me.
I know.
But you look at her as a cute, fluffy teddy bear,
Yeah.
and that's a problem.
Yeah.
You gotta look at her as a dog.
Get her crazy. I know. Sorry.
But all the stuff that you're doing is a problem.
I know.
So, when it comes to dogs, this behavior that she's doing, if she did it to another dog, and that dog wanted to correct her,
Yeah.
do you know what they would do?
Bite her.
Yes. Okay. That prong collar, what does it look like?
Teeth.
Yes. So it's over here. So what do you think it's meant to do?
Bite her.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes. So people get these tools. So like the idea is correct. And like, hey, we need this tool. But don't talk to her. But you're not actively using it to correct anything. That's why she has that problem, right? So here, see how she's like sitting next to me and settling? But then after a few minutes, she gets up again?
Yeah.
Is because I'm actually making her do something. Okay? So earlier, right? And she just kept getting up.
Yeah.
Now, she settles, and then she acts up, and then I settle her, and then she acts up, and I settle her, right? Because I'm telling her, right now, you just need to relax. And I'm not saying any kind of sit, stay, down, place, any kind of words to her.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, don't do that non-verbally. So when she jumped up and she's grabbing the leash, that's her trying to assert herself. Okay, so they see that the leash gives us physical means of control, so you want to take that control back, right? So she needs to disengage from it. If I go, ooh, sorry, then she just wins. Like you just taught her, like, oh, you run the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
I keep the pressure on, and in the moment she relaxes, I relax. Right? So right now what I'm doing with Pepper is just putting rules. Right now I need you to not go over there, not talk, not howl, not whine, not get up and move around, right? Not jump on me. I'm just putting all these rules. And when she can't do anything, what's left for her is to settle. And you see how the brain here, right? How she's moving, because that's what she's used to.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the beginning, as you're putting rules, you get calmness and excitement. Calmness and excitement, right? And eventually it's calmness, excitement, and then calmness, and you get the bigger streaks of calm. So I always create calmness first. People always create excitement first.
Yeah.
Right? When, especially with puppies, oh my God, my puppies, oh, I miss you, right? And all that stuff. And that's why when you come home and you greet her, what happens?
Yeah. I mean, I try to, when I come home, like lately, because I've been in the office more, I try when I come home, I'm always carrying stuff, to put my stuff down and like not give her as much attention right away. And she'll jump on me, but I'm like, you know, not doing anything with her, so then she'll go away and then she'll start at me, like, come say hi to me. So I tried to do that. It is hard though, because I think a lot of the problem is me, how I'm like, I missed you all day, like, you know. So I think she's really just exhibiting what she's learned from us. But now I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, because dogs aren't actually like this. Because they correct each other. You know, if she did that to a dog and they didn't like it, they would just bite her. And they're like, we don't do that here. You know, humans make these complicated. So here, part of the problem is just, one, the way you treat her.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't care that people give their dogs affection or whatever. And especially with social media now, like, you know, doggo and dog and, you know, heckin' and like all these like just memes and stuff, is it's a problem because it's making people view dogs like that. So it's kind of like, what's the guy's name? Who's Daniel Radcliffe? Harry Potter guy. right? You're like, that's Harry Potter, right? Like,
Yeah.
and the kids seem like, oh, it's Harry Potter. Like, I'm not really Harry Potter. Like, I'm an actor that portrays Harry Potter, right?
True. Yeah.
So that's the same thing with dogs. Is people are seeing all these memes and stuff, and then when they see a dog in real life, they're just seeing memes, or they're just seeing like, oh my God, this is a doggo, blah blah blah, right? And they're like just hugging on and everything,
Yeah.
but it's very unhealthy,
Mhm.
and that's why people get bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, what's happening is she's getting so overstimulated, she's frustrated, and the frustration comes out through chewing the table, nibbling at her hands, chewing on the leash and all that stuff. That's all frustration. Okay, because she has so much energy, and that energy, like physical energy, emotional energy, right? Because of what you've put into her.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to understand whenever you touch her, whenever you talk to her, whenever you feed her, whenever you do something in response to her, you're putting energy. Okay, so then it becomes too much, and she's like, well, this energy's got to go somewhere. So then when you try to create that energy, we get destructive behavior.
Yeah.
You know, if you ignore that energy, we get destructive or frustrated. We get like barking and howling and chewing and biting and nibbling, right?
Yeah.
So what we need to do is not just stop the energy. If I pet her, like right now, she were to lay at my feet and be completely calm for 30 minutes, and I would calmly pet her. I'm calmly petting her because I'm like, oh my God, good job sitting there calm. What happens?
Yeah, then she's excited
Then
again.
you're excited again, right? It would be calm energy. You get what you give.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you give calmness, you get calmness. You give excitement, you get excitement. And it's fine to do both. There's a balance. Problem is people just put excitement, and then we end up with this kind of stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
So you don't have a bad dog.
No,
Okay?
she just learned from what she was taught.
Right. And you're stepping the right direction with the prong collar, but the prong collar needs to be used in order to be functional. It's not just put it on the dog and see what happens. It's put it on the dog and use it to correct her,
Okay.
bite her with the prong. Okay. Now this particular prong, with any altered prong, like this one is altered. It's got like a strap.
Yeah.
Aren't really they hold no correctional value. Okay, so even if you try to correct her with it, I think you'd probably come to a point where like, hey, this isn't effective, and it's most likely because of the design of the prong. Okay?
Yeah.
And there's lots of different designs of prongs now. Anything outside of the traditional prong is, in my opinion, non-functional. Okay, and I've seen several of them throughout the years. So we of course train with prong and e-collar here. We actually do mainly just e-collar. The only time we use prong is if we're incorporating it. Okay, so like if I had a lady, she was like 90 pounds. She had a 150 pound Great Dane, and obviously there's a big size difference there.
Yeah.
So she had e-collar and prong because she needed as much leverage as possible to work in her favor. Because if she turned, because it was dog reactive, so if she turned a corner, there's a dog there. She needed to have physical means of control as well as a means to shut it down, right? And so I get people who are like 7 years old, like I have a lady, she's 70 something, and she got a 90 pound Mastiff pit mix. You know, I'm like, the first time I showed up to her, the first lesson that I showed up to with her at Oz Park, she was picking herself off the ground because the dog had reacted to another dog, yanked her down, and she went face first, and she ended up with a black eye. Yeah. So prong collar I use, so she did prong knee collar as well, because she didn't need as much leverage. In most cases, we just do remote collar.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the technology or what it is?
We had gotten one for her to try and stop the couch biting in the house situation. The one that we got, for some reason it like died or like malfunctioned or something.
Was it like $80 or something?
No, it was like 150.
Okay, was it like pet care?
I have the app still probably. I don't even know if
that's
I've done
fine.
this right now.
Yeah.
But after like a week or two, it just like didn't work. Like the app wouldn't work with it, and it would say like no collar found, even though we charged it like all the way up. It just didn't work anymore. So we were like, well, that was expensive. Like, buy a new one like a week later. So we just didn't. But we did have one at one point.
Okay. Do you know what the technology is?
I mean, the one that we had, it like had vibrations. It had like static and sounds. It was past the same one as like what you would use.
Sure. So the one that we have has vibration and stim. There's two functions. Vibration is like a cell phone vibration. It doesn't hold any value. A lot of dogs actually freak out more to the vibration than they do to the stim. Have you ever been to a chiropractor or physical therapist?
No.
No. Have you ever seen those videos on YouTube where they recreate labor contraction pains in men?
Yeah.
Okay, so that technology, that's called TENS unit, T-E-N-S. They use it on humans. They use it a lot in sports rehabilitation therapy. They use it if you have scar tissue on your muscle. They use it to break up scar tissue. If you've not used your arm for a long time, like let's say for whatever, like an accident or something, they put these little nodes with wires and they start to contract the muscle to help build muscle strength. Okay, so e-collar is that kind of technology. Okay, it's just a muscle stimulation. But people tend to think of it as like electricity or like electrocution. They think it's like the electric chair for their dog or something. They don't know. Like the professional level collars are just miniaturized 10 units. Okay, so if I were to put it on my hand here, you would see my thumb twitch, but everything else would be completely fine because there's no current anywhere. It's just centralized to where they're making contact. Okay, so the reason why we use these tools is one, off the bat, I get off-leash control. Okay, so like if you're going to the park and like she's eating goose poop and I don't want to eat goose poop, I have a means of stopping her. Okay, we get off-leash obedience. The only command that needs to be off-leash reliable is the recall or the come when called. Every other command is really just personal preference, but recall has to be off-leash functional, otherwise it's useless.
Yeah.
Also, in case of an emergency, like let's say she gets off the leash and she's like running away from a firework. I also have a means of overriding and making the dog return. Okay, so even in emergency situations, I can regain control.
Yeah.
It's great for stopping behaviors. It's also great for teaching behaviors. Okay, so it's like the most versatile tool in my opinion. Here, with the prong collar, it's a great tool, but it tends to take a little too much technical skill for the average dog owner. So we use them here. All my employees are trained on it. I know how to use them, obviously. I've been working with them for 10 years. This is a slip leash here. This takes even more skill than a prong collar because you can accidentally choke your dog out with this if you don't know how to release pressure. E-collar is simply just press a button. Okay.
Yeah.
But we also have to. It's not like say sit and like remote control type of thing, right? You have to shape everything, but it's easier for people to understand because we're so button reliant now, right? Everything's press a button. So e-collar is easier for people, just in that sense. Also, if I have a more stubborn dog, let's say you did prong collar and you're trying to do a correction on her, and physically or like just technically, you don't have the means of correcting her correctly, as we put it, is that with the e-collar, it doesn't matter if he has it at 35 and you have it at 35, it's the same sensation.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's universal. So if I use it, you use it, you use it, it's going to be the same sensation. So it makes that easier. If it comes to physical strength, like for instance, that young lady with the Great Dane, because it was a 150-pound dog, if she needed to override him, at 90 pounds, she wasn't physically going to override him.
Yeah.
She could match him using the power of the e-collar. Okay? So with a case like this, because this is frustration, and with the e-collar that you got, and this is a very common thought process amongst people, is they go, oh, I'm going to get the collar, and whenever the dog does something I don't want, I'm going to shock him, right? It's a bigger picture than that. You would still be doing that. Like you wouldn't stop anything, okay? Because you have to not just use it to stop behaviors and correct her for things, but you also have to provide structure, okay? Frustration comes from a lack of structure. Okay? Right now we're getting frustration because she's getting structure because she's never had it before, okay?
Yeah.
But once she gets used to it, structure helps keep dog passive, okay? Does it mean she can't become excited? No, she can, when I want her to be, right? So I'm like, hey, we're at the dog park. Now you can be excited. Hey, we're gonna play ball. Now you can be excited. But other than that, I need you to just be chill. Because the nipping, the biting, and all that stuff is not the problem. The problem is the frustration. Because that's what's fueling it. Okay? The frustration is what's causing all that stuff. So when we remove the frustration, we don't get, or shouldn't see, nipping, chewing, biting, and all that other stuff. Right? So here she's starting to build up. This is okay.
See it in her little eyes.
Yeah. But you see how consistent I am?
Mm-hmm.
Right, as soon as I took her, I was like, my point is you're gonna just be here and relax at my side,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm not angry with her, I'm not frustrated with her. It's like having a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not like a parent 24/7 for the rest of her life. Because mentally she's not gonna get older than a 2 to 3 year old child. Okay, you have a 2 to 3 year old child forever now. Okay? So 2 to 3 year old kids have to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't one day expect a 2 to 3 year old to like get a job, pay bills, move out and support themselves, right? She's forever a 2 to 3 year old child. So she will always need rules and structure. It's just over the course of time, your need to reinforce things will become less and less because that's what she's becoming. Okay? Correct. Questions?
No, but I think every time she cries, she's staring dead at me.
Yeah,
I think
that's
she's
what I'm
like
putting it this way.
wanting me to like come get her.
Because you empower her.
I know, and I feel like every time she would cry, she was like, "Mom, what are you doing? Like, come here."
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, I don't have any questions, but I think she definitely. We all need to, fix what we've created behaviorally.
Right.
She does get frustrated, and I know that.
Yeah. So let's Melvinus here.
Like my go-to when she does stuff like that is like give her the kisses or like pep her, like say something to her.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, you're again putting more energy.
Yeah.
So here, like you see how she wants or has to like look at you there?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm breaking that simply because of how she's escalating from it.
Yeah.
So I'm disengaging her and like, look, don't worry about that right now. And it's not going to affect your relationship. Like she's not going to come out here and go, maybe let him do that to me for an hour. She doesn't think that way. She's just like, oh, when I'm with Jesse, like there's rules, right? If I'm with mom and dad, there may not be any rules.
She's like, I don't want the rules.
Yeah. But that's the thing. In the beginning, you're going to get protest.
Like this.
Yes. So right there, when you see my hand, that's like a dog bite.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? Because she's going, I'm going to bite at it. And you might think, well, hey, if you're putting pressure on her and she's having trouble breathing and stuff, when's she going to let go? Dogs won't. They'll literally keep fighting. That's why I said people accidentally choke their dog out. Because the dog will literally resist until they win.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't care if they're cutting off airflow or anything, they'll keep going. So right there, because she kept holding and holding and holding and holding,
Mm-hmm.
another dog would simply release and go, fine, I'm giving up. And she goes, no, I'm gonna keep fighting. So I said, okay, boom. And I corrected her. And she goes, what? She lets go. Then I relax. She said, now would you be doing this? No.
No.
But this is too complicated for people. But this is to show you what she needs is rules and structure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So all the stuff, like most of your problem is actually pretty simple. The hardest problem you're gonna have is when she's in the crate when you're gone.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the hardest thing to fix because you're gonna be gone. Okay? So here, what I would do with this case is the first thing we would do is teach how to walk correctly. We always teach the healing exercise. Okay? Leash walking fixes like 60 to 70% of problems. That's why it's always the first thing that we teach. Plus, dogs tend to pull like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's usually like the first thing that we want to fix. As well, we deal with a lot of dog reactivity here. So when it comes to dog reactivity, leash walking is also something that helps fix that problem.
Yeah.
So overexcitement to dogs when she sees them, all that stuff gets resolved with leash walking. Okay? That's typically 2 classes. And then I go, what does it fix? Okay? So after the first class, you come back to second class, how are we going, how are we doing, whatever. Hey Jesse, man, her biting the house and all that stuff has like dropped down 50%. Her walking's great. And I go, awesome. We're making progress. We do the second class. We tweak a few things. We'll see you in a week. Come back week 3. How are we doing? Even better, but we're still struggling with like biting the table. right? Or nibbling at our hands. And I go, not a problem. This is what we're gonna do to address that. I'm gonna give you another means of correcting her. It's like right now I'm correcting her. Right now this is too complicated for people. But you have to correct her yourself because it has to be personal. Okay? The thing about e-collar is that it's non-confrontational. You press the button, there's a contraction, the dog doesn't know where it's coming from. So that's what makes it super effective at a lot of things. But it can also be ineffective at other things because there is no confrontation. Confrontation is healthy. Okay, dogs, if you leave a bunch of dogs in a room, they will establish a hierarchy through confrontation. Okay? If you leave kids in a room, they'll establish a hierarchy. Okay? It's just in our nature. But we establish that through confrontation and with dogs' physicality. So here, if she's nibbling at you and you keep always like petting her, or you keep going, no, stop, right? If you pull away, you're making it more fun.
Yeah.
Okay? If you go, oh, stop, and try to calm her or settle her, give her affection, now you're just telling her, if you nibble at me, I'll give you something. Right? Or even if it's to redirect it towards a toy, which is like a super common thing you'll see on the internet, is if your dog is biting you, redirect them to a toy. And I always say, well, if you redirect them to a toy and then they're like, well, this is boring, right? Then they go to the owner because you're fun, because you pull away, you yell, right?
Yeah.
Now the dog's getting you animated. That's more engaging than an inanimate object. Does that make sense? So certain things you have to correct it yourself, and then I give you information on that, and then we start correcting. Because a lot of stuff that you're dealing with is simply don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the difference between obedience and behavior. Obedience is do this, sit, stay down, come, place, paw, whatever. Behavior is don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't jump, don't bark, don't whine, don't cry, don't nibble, don't bite.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So someone says, hey Jess, my dog needs to be taught how to sit because they bite people. I'll say like, well, how does teaching him how to sit stop biting people?
Yeah.
Right? But that's how people approach it, right? In the beginning, when you said, well, we tried to train her, we taught her to sit and stay or whatever, and then you're like, then we got a prong collar, but nothing ever said don't do that.
Yeah.
That's what you're lacking. Okay. Questions?
No, I don't think so.
No, everything you said makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like I came knowing that it was mostly our fault, and that, like, nothing's wrong with her.
Well, yeah, she's a dog.
It's just that, like, you know, the way that we went about everything and, like, continued to. Like, this morning she was biting me. I was trying to rub her head, and she loves neck rubs, so I was like, I'll rub you on the neck, and then she'll stop biting. But then the second you stop rubbing her neck, she bites you again. And so then you just have to rub her neck for like an hour. So, I mean, it all makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so the more you give her, the more she's gonna want. So here, is your goal simply to like stop these behaviors, or how much training, or how well trained of a dog do you want?
I think, I mean, for at least me, I want her to still have her personality. Like, I love how smart and, like, funny she is and things that she'll do. But it's the destructive behaviors that I want to stop. And I want her, like, because I know that she's extremely smart. I know that she can learn things and that she can be a really good dog. It's just that, like, we didn't do enough to help her get there. And so I want her to be able to, like, be a great dog and be around other dogs and people and, you know, like, go on a hike. We took her on a hike recently, and it's just hard because she's like dramatic, exciting, like, you know.
But then that goes against, because you're like, I want her to be her, but then when she's her,
I know.
I don't want it.
I don't want her to like be like, I don't want her to feel like a military dog. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want her to like not be a dog. Like, I want her to have fun and play, but I don't want her to be rude. I don't know how to describe it. I just don't want her to be like a police dog, like, you know.
No, well, we don't train dogs to be robots.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't want her to be a robot.
Think of it this way: if someone goes to boot camp or someone goes to the military, like I have a friend who went to the military. He's still the same guy. He's just very disciplined in how he does things now. He's super disciplined. He's got his own house. He's got projects he's got to do. He helps recruit kids into the National Guard and all that stuff. He's still the same dude. We still crack the same jokes. We still party the same. Everything's the same.
Yeah.
He's just more structured. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so people always come in with this, and I'm like, and the other thing is you can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not saying we're gonna kill her personality, because like when people say, oh, break the spirit of the dog or something like that, it's nonsense. Okay? Because the dog will always be who they are. They're just gonna be a better version, because now we have control. Now we have a dog that knows or can learn what not to do.
Yeah.
Right? So, what determines length of time and cost is simply how much control you want. The stuff you're dealing with, aside from the kennel stuff, is all simple, pending you follow through.
Yeah.
So that's all. I can only take as far as you're willing to go. You know, so if you're like, hey Jesse, we tried, we just can't correct her. Like I have a lady with huskies, 2 huskies, and they fight in the house. And she's like, I don't want to use the collar all the time inside the house. I'm like, yeah, I get it, because you're inside the house. They shouldn't need the collar all the time. So I gave her, a means of correcting them. She's like, well, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, well, good luck, because you just said no to the answers.
Yeah.
Right? And she just accepted it. I just told her, look, because she's already tried all the positive stuff. She tried the treat, she tried the can of pennies, she tried the spray bottle, she tried all that nonsense. It didn't work. And then she comes to me, and stuff is working. And everything we're doing is working. And then she's like, well, what about fighting in the house? I'm going to do this. And she's like, well, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, all right, well, if everything's been working that I've been teaching you, and I give you this answer and say, hey, it'll work, and you're like, I'm not going to do that, then you're stuck.
Yeah.
Right? So, the behavioral stuff is simple. Obedience stuff is simple. Okay? So you're in the 6, 9 to 12 week range, which is 1 class a week for an hour. Think of the 6 week as we walk our dog, go to the dog park. The 9 week, we walk our dog, go to the dog park, go to restaurants. And the 12 week, all that stuff. And you go hiking, and she's going to be off leash. She's going to be in unenclosed areas, all that jazz. Okay? So the 12 week is for like people who do like everything with their dog. Okay? And then the 6 week is kind of simple. Like I walk my dog, we go to the dog park, play fetch or whatever, and then we go back home. Okay? So the 6 week, we cover the heel, which is going to fix the bulk of the problems. And then we also cover, of course, correcting anything that it doesn't correct. We always teach the recall. At least I always recommend that people learn the recall, just because it is one of the most important commands. It's the command that's going to get your dog in return should she happen to get off leash. Okay. The 9 week, we do that stuff plus stationary control, which would be like go here, don't move. So if you go to a restaurant, you're like, hey, Pepper, lay down, don't move for the next 2 hours while you have brunch or whatever. Okay. The 12 week is all that stuff plus more commands, because there's 6 obedience commands: sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. The most essential ones are the heel, the come, and the place. Because you have walk with me, you have come to me, and then you have don't move. Okay, sit down and stay are just kind of optional. If people want to learn them, I get some clients that want to learn everything, and I get other clients that just want enough to have the life they want with their dog, and that's it. Okay. In terms of the collar that she'll need, it's more expensive than the one that you got, but it won't crap out on you after a week. Okay. I've had mine for 8 years, no issues. The most common issue that we get is that it's a rechargeable lithium battery, so the battery does give at some point. 2 to 3 years, whatever, maybe longer. You can go to the website, it's a $15 to $20 battery, you buy the one you need, open it up, replace it, or you can even send it into the company and they'll replace it themselves. Okay? Fully waterproof system, 3/4 mile range for the one I'd recommend. If you want it, you could go, there's one just above it, which is meant for 70-pound dogs and over. It has a 1 mile range fully waterproof system. The only reason why I'd recommend it or give it to you as an option is just because since she's a husky and she has that denser coat of fur, one drawback to e-collar is contact.
Yeah.
Okay, so dogs with short fur, very straightforward, pretty simple to get contact. Dogs with denser coats of fur, Samoyeds, Huskies, German Shepherds, Pomeranians are the worst because they're small and they're super fluffy. There is special probes to help us get more consistent contact. Okay?
Yeah.
Once you get used to it, it's not a problem, but in the beginning, because it's completely kind of foreign to you, it's going to be a little bit before you get kind of adjusted to like always achieving contact with it. Okay?
Yeah.
Questions?
Just throwing a fit.
But she's not getting in the way.
Yeah, she's shown like more obedience than when I was
Yeah.
holding her.
Yeah, definitely. She's frustrated. I can tell because she's
Yeah,
just
and
whining.
even her whining, yeah, because her brain is so used to activity,
Yeah.
and now I'm telling her be inactive.
She's like, why?
You know, I tell people it's like, so I used to go to church when I was a kid with my family, and my mom, you know, she'd be like, you need to be quiet for the next like hour or whatever. And I'll say, you're a kid, right? You move, you want to move, you want to fiddle around and stuff. And you'd be like writing on stuff and like moving, looking, climbing underneath pews, right? Because you want to move.
Yeah.
Same thing for the dog. Remember, 2 to 3 year old child.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like.
Yeah. So all this is easier. This is more complicated because this is, I'm just using, you know, my leash here and energy and it's just hand crushes and stuff. Remote collar is much more straightforward. The most common question that I get is when does the e-collar go away?
Yeah.
In my book, when you need it, it doesn't. So what that means is if she's going to be outside off leash, if you're going to be walking her, if you're going to the restaurant or something like that, she's going to have it, but it's not that you're always using it. It's just that it's present, okay? Inside the house, we shouldn't really need it. Maybe you're having guests come over, she gets 2 rambunctious. You put it on, you use it maybe the first 15 minutes while your guests are there, and then once she calms down, you can remove it. You don't need it anymore.
Okay.
Do you guys drive?
Mm-hmm.
Do you go on the expressway?
Mm-hmm.
Do you go the speed limit?
But more or less, like above.
Sounds like a no. So, most people don't,
Yeah.
right? And it's called opportunistic behavior. Because one of the things is people complain that the dog listens with the collar on, doesn't listen with the collar off, right?
Okay.
Right, and
Yeah.
I tell them, well, people, right? We got laws, we got cops and stuff, people still commit crimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know not to run red lights because you can get a ticket. The other day, like 2 weeks ago, I was like, ran a red light, got a ticket, okay?
Yeah.
So, even we press the boundaries, okay? It's opportunistic behavior, perfectly normal, has nothing to do with my skills as a trainer, has nothing to do with the training methods, and you'll hear trainers argue back and forth, like, you know, positive only trainers will, you know, bash trainers like myself, and like, well, you need the collar even after training, and then I turn around like, well, you need your treats after training too, except my tool can make the dog listen, okay? If she gets off leash and I'm using food to try to get her to return, for her, if she doesn't get the food, that's really no harm to her, that's no consequence. With remote collar, there's physicality, I have connection, there's not a consequence. So I can make the dog return.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the difference between the two. Okay? One moment.
Yeah, she's thinking there's somebody here.
Yeah, I think someone knocked.
Is it okay? You just have to be just on the
Yeah, that's right.
I know.
Sure. So, you can put her on your leash again. So, here, real simple stuff. In terms of the kennel stuff, what I would suggest you do, and I suggest you start doing that now, I'm gonna show you this. Yeah. Is, I would start, you work from home, you said?
Yes.
9 to 5?
Yep.
What I will start doing is creating her 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Because you have to get her used to the routine. What's going to happen is, and I have other clients, you know, some clients did it, some clients didn't do it. The clients that didn't do it, oh shit, I start working 2 weeks. Now I'm going to start with Jesse said, and then the dog is throwing a fit, barking, destroying stuff or whatever. And the clients that started doing it months ago, much better. Okay, because you're getting you used to 9 to 5 not always being with you. So if you go from her being with you all the time to you finally leaving, right? It's a big shift. That's what the problem is.
Right.
So should it be in a different room from
Yeah.
him? Okay.
You want to teach her how, even though you're there, you know, you're still teaching her like you're not going to be with me all the time, and you're going on a schedule that's going to be realistic to you in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the problem is, I put her in the kennel, and she won't settle. She's doing this. Bark collar. Okay. A bark collar, and I'll send you a model, whatever. We'll correct her. So she's got the collar on. She knows she can't bark. It'll help keep her calm. Okay. If she'll ever get past the bark collar, see the huge difference.
Yeah.
You see, with the bark collar, it keeps her in check. It keeps all this nonsense. So try giving her a pop on your leash.
I think she's not going to be.
What's that?
She could have to go potty.
I think she's just not gonna fit.
She didn't go before.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of it is also, I think she goes out probably more than other dogs. We probably take her out like maybe 7 times a day.
Wow. It
I would
should
say
be,
more than that.
it should be 3.
She-
Morning, so before work, after work, before bed. Okay? So we're gonna have to shift that as well. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't pee a lot when she goes, but she does have digestive problems, so
Uh-huh.
she's prone. She's had a couple bouts with diarrhea, which is why we tend to take her out a little bit more in those instances.
Does she have loose stool?
Yes.
What kind of food is she on?
She refuses to eat kibbles. She only eats wet food. Right now, with the vet, we're giving her a prescription diet for digestive issues,
Okay.
mixed with Hill's stomach and skin wet food. So
Okay.
half and half.
How is her stool now?
It's soft. We're trying to look more into the reason behind it, because there's no parasites. She did have giardia when she was really little, like 2 times, because she would drink all the water off the ground and get stuck in her. But now it's, more looking like something wrong in her GI issues. So we're gonna do blood tests and stuff and find out what's wrong with that.
If you end up still having issues, we have a nutritionist here
Mm-hmm.
who's helped several people with dogs like this.
Mhm.
Her name's Maddie. If you follow us on Instagram, she has a lot of posts. If you watch them, you'll learn a lot of stuff. She's all about educating people. But she's done several dogs that have GI issues and stuff like that. And some of it can be with kibble. I know prescription foods and stuff like that. There's a whole spiel behind that. If you want to talk to her, I'll let her cover that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the she's going to be fed like feeding a kind of raw diet, but she helps people figure all that stuff out.
Yeah.
So if you try that and it doesn't work and you're still with cancer,
Of course, yeah. Thank you.
so here, in terms of what you do, at least 6 classes to fix the problem,
Yeah.
and then it's just a matter of, do we want more control? Then you have 9 to 12 classes.
Okay.
Maria will send you the information for the e-collar.
Okay.
And she'll send them to you, go to Amazon, you can pick them up off Amazon. And then I'll send you some videos, once you're confirmed, you'll receive an email from me with videos to watch to prepare you for the lesson. And then we just start the training.
Is the lesson like here or is it like virtual or?
Here.
Okay.
So my space, the training space that we use is 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. My facility is 13,000 square feet. It's a really big space. Once it starts to clear up and summer or whatever comes along, we train at Oz Park. But in the meantime, because the weather's kind of all over the place, we just meet here in my space. In regards to like transferring to the home setting, it's really not that difficult. It's pretty much straightforward.
Okay.
I help you figure all that stuff out. You just have to do your homework.
Yeah.
Okay? Which the only time you're really training is when you're walking her. That becomes your training time. And then recall is the one time that does take more time to get to go somewhere like this.
Yeah.
But all this stuff like this nonsense here is pretty straightforward because it's just don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay? Questions?
No.
All right. So if you have anything else that you may have forgotten to ask, you can email Maria
Okay.
and then she'll get back to you.